Hey, Mountain View Church, we wanted to give you an update. We've been communicating regularly on the Pastoral Search Committee and that process. We've also been in contact with Pat Stark in the denomination, and Pat's our representative for the Pacific Southwest Conference. He's done dozens of these transitions, and he assures us that we're right on track. So the overseers and the staff, we're excited and grateful, and just want to report that we are pressing and leaning into what God has in store for Mountain View Church in this next season. We also wanted to give you an update on the transition pastor update.
So Art was here with us from May until September. And when he concluded, we really felt like we wanted to bring another transition pastor in to help us in the process. And so it's actually a good friend of Art's, and his name is Kent Aging, and he and his wife Rhonda are going to join us in November. And we're very excited about what he brings because he has a global perspective. And so we want to introduce you to Kent Aging.
So Mountain View Church, this is Kent Egging. Kent, this is Mountain View Church. I know that you can't see them, but we wanted to introduce the church to you and just welcome you to Mountain View Church.
Great, thank you.
And you know, we love and appreciate Art and Brenda, and he highly values and recommended you. And so a little concerned that we're moving forward based on Art's recommendation, but yeah, we want to welcome you to the church and just say we're super excited to have you.
Well, that cuts both ways. Art's the one that recommended your church, and I'm going on his recommendation as well. So we're both going to have to trust Art and Brenda in that, and I think that trust is well placed.
Amen.
Yeah, we've loved having just been able to develop a relationship with Brenda and Art. They were amazing, and we're excited to have you come as well and meet Rhonda. And so just to give everyone a little bit of history, you were called to be a missionary in Russia, and that led to becoming a missionary also in Sweden, and you lived in Sweden for 5 years, and then you've done some transition work. So tell us, between being a missionary and being a transition pastor at times, what called you to come to Mountain View?
Well, I've served as a covenant pastor of local covenant churches since 1984 when I was in seminary. We met the Grecos in about 1980, so we've known them this whole time. But so I've served several covenant churches. The last one was right here in Mount Vernon, Washington, where I was a pastor for. I started as the interim pastor at this church, and after 8 months, they called me as the senior pastor, and I stayed for 12 years. And then as we were serving here, I was also making periodic trips to Russia during that time, as a covenant pastor, taking teams and things like that. And at the age of 59, we just asked ourselves and asked the Lord, how do we end ministry life well? How do we finish strong? And felt a calling of the Lord to work with pastors and their families, specifically in Russia. And we ended up living in Sweden. It's kind of in the neighborhood. And so our ministry over the last 8 years of our full ministry life, I should say, before retirement, was serving pastors and their families in Russia. And then I've also been mentoring pastors in Sweden, Germany, Canada, and the US. It just kind of happened organically. Retired officially last November, but this year, as we've been taking part in our local church, the one I pastored for so long, our senior pastor has also left. And so for the last 6 months, I've served as the kind of interim before the interim, kind of like Art did at your church, for almost exactly the same amount of time. And I planned a trip to Europe, only I came back. And so I've been there, we'll be there about 6 months, just adding, working with the staff, working with the lay leaders, and adding a level of stability to the church as they transition to a full-time transition pastor in this kind of crazy time of life for all churches, and what you guys are also going through.
Yeah, well, I love hearing those little snippets of your story, and I think that's one thing that the overseer board and the staff that have gotten to know you a little bit are excited about, that you bring such a depth of experience and wisdom, and more recently that global perspective that I think is so important for the church, and it's going to be a welcomed addition to Mountain View Church, and I know it's going to be a blessing. And we're excited to have you and welcome you and experience the gift that we know that you'll be for Mountain View. As a church, what's one thing that you would just maybe prepare or ask for us, like maybe a posture that we can be over the next few weeks as we enter the season together in this new relationship of inviting and welcoming you and your wife and your family into our congregation? What's one thing that maybe a word of wisdom that you might give to us as a church body?
Well, one word that keeps getting used a lot is the word transition, and transition is almost never welcome in our lives. Sometimes we say, hey, I love change, and we only love change if it works out well for us. But transition oftentimes brings with it anxiety, and so I guess what I would like to speak into and to provide or to come alongside you with is the sense that in these times which have been so strange, so weird, and they're not just weird for Mountain View, they're weird for everybody. And I'm talking about people internationally and nationally. It's just been a weird time. And so what I would want to do is to speak a word of kind of comfort, a word of rest in that. And I don't want to say, so rest, so just quit worrying about stuff. That's not what I'm saying, but our rest is in the Lord. And so the more that we turn to him, the more that we turn to prayer and worship, which I've been watching you guys online. I mean, that's something you guys know a lot about. Resting in that. The transition, I mean, your senior pastor left after 20 years, ouch. And then this strange Italian guy comes for 6 months, and you fall in love with Brenda, and Art came along for the ride. And now you're thinking, well, who's this guy? And he's just going to be here until somebody else comes. And I guess I would just try to speak a word of peace into that and just say, let's see what happens here. Let's see what the possibilities are because fundamentally you're the same. You're the same people. Everything you've enjoyed, you're going to continue to enjoy. And the struggles that you've had, you're going to continue to struggle with, but we can do those things together.
We, on behalf of our church, we receive that and are grateful for that, and are excited to do this with you and to partner with you.
Yeah, thank you.
And are grateful for you.
My wife Rhonda and I we're both very excited as well. We're ready for a different adventure, and in Southern California, it sounds like the thing. I mean, it's already fall here, and you guys are, it doesn't look like it. So
awesome. Well, we'll see you soon, and thank you for your time.
All right. Amen. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.